Do you remember the moment Carlos Alcaraz had to face defeat at Wimbledon? It was a low point, a brutal challenge for a young talent the tennis world once considered untouchable. But just 2 months later, at the 2025 U.S. Open, Alcaraz came back with a transformation that stunned everyone watching. It wasn't the devastating forehands or the crafty drop shots that had built his reputation. This time, the story was all about his serve, a skill that evolved from a simple match starter into an outright weapon. He was firing aces at incredible speeds, closing out the final with delivery that was almost impossible for the human eye to track. Even elite returners like Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic could only shake their heads in disbelief. Veteran analysts on ESPN and across every major sports forum all asked the same question: how could a 22-year-old completely redefine the most critical part of his game in such a short window of time? The signs were obvious from the very first match in New York. Alcaraz's serve looked different, faster, more unpredictable, and most importantly, used as a tool to control the rhythm of every point from the jump. The numbers backed it up. His average first serve speed climbed steadily across every round, reaching beyond 130 miles per hour at critical moments in the final, including one clocked at 134 miles per hour. That wasn't a random spike. It was a consistent upward trend maintained under the heaviest pressure. And power was only half the story. Alcaraz won roughly 84% of points on his first serve and around 63% on his second throughout the tournament. Those percentages mean one thing: opponents almost never got to dictate terms when he put the ball in play. They were already on the back foot from the very first stroke. The championship match against Sinner was the most telling illustration. 10 aces, 0 double faults, and a serving rhythm control with the discipline of a seasoned veteran. Every time Alcaraz stepped to the baseline, there was no rush, no hesitation. Clean ball toss, balanced landing, and precise placement before cranking up the pace. Compare that to their Wimbledon meeting just months earlier, where Sinner was reading his second serve with ease. In New York, Alcaraz showed up with a smarter, more calculated approach, knowing when to go big and when to keep it reliable, so he never dug himself into trouble. That success didn't come from talent alone. It came from months of quiet, disciplined work behind closed doors. His coach Juan Carlos Ferrero had hinted that they began fine-tuning the serving motion as far back as late last year. But after the Wimbledon loss, it became the number one priority. Ferrero and Alcaraz sat down and rewatched every point from that final, analyzing the angles, the speeds, the trajectories, and even the mental hesitation behind each miss. The changes they made weren't dramatic. No total overhaul, nothing flashy, just precise adjustments to foot placement, shoulder rotation, the connection between hips and arm swing, and even his breathing rhythm before the toss. To a casual viewer, those details are nearly invisible, but for the player executing them, they are the difference between an inconsistent 115 miles per hour delivery and a repeatable, accurate 130 miles per hour weapon. Ferrero reportedly ran drills designed to build mental toughness alongside technique. If Alcaraz missed 3 consecutive first serves during practice, the entire session reset from scratch. The message was clear. The first serve had to be reliable enough under pressure to hand him an immediate advantage every single time. The tennis world took notice instantly. Sky Sports commentator Tim Henman, a former player with decades of court experience, couldn't hide his astonishment, saying he had never seen Alcaraz serve like that against one of the best returners in the game. Sinner himself admitted after the loss that Alcaraz had constantly changed things up, especially on serve, and that it made a decisive difference. When a losing player publicly acknowledges his opponent's new strength, that tells you everything about how real the evolution was. On social media, fans compared him to the great serving machines of past generations. One comment put simply, his first and second serve are better than anything we've seen from him before. He really leveled those up. Alcaraz himself stayed measured when asked about it. He only said that he and Ferrero had made a few changes to his serving motion. A few. But those few changes were enough to make him the most dangerous and unpredictable player in the entire draw. What makes this story bigger than just one tournament is what it says about who Alcaraz is becoming. He dropped only one set during the entire 2025 U.S. Open. He was broken just 3 times across 2 weeks. For a 22-year-old, those numbers are almost unreal. They signal a player who no longer relies purely on explosive bursts of brilliance, but has learned to sustain elite-level performance day after day, a quality that once belonged exclusively to Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. And when your serve is strong enough to control a match from the opening point, every other weapon in your arsenal gets amplified. The drop shot lands more surprisingly. The forehand into open court becomes more accessible. The net approach feels more natural. The serve isn't just one shot. It's the key that unlocks everything else. At 22 years old, with 6 Grand Slam titles already in hand, Alcaraz is building something that looks a lot like a dynasty in progress. The loss at Wimbledon revealed a weakness. 2 months later, that weakness had become a strength. That is a mark of a champion who doesn't just rely on talent, but actively hunts down his own flaws and eliminates them. For a generation of tennis fans who watch Sampras, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic define eras, this feeling is familiar. The sense that someone new is arriving and that they're going to be here for a very long time. The serve at the 2025 U.S. Open was just the first secret revealed. There will be more. And when they show up, the tennis world better be ready.